Today, we are breaking down a story that completely changed television. A true modern tragedy about how a good man's life spirals into total darkness. This is a story of a mild-mannered chemistry teacher who, when faced with his own death, becomes an absolute monster. So let's get into the chemical reaction that created the one and only Heisenberg.
I mean, this one sentence, it basically sums up the entire journey of Walter White. It's his whole story wrapped up in a nutshell. The descent, the rise, and of course, the fall. And it all starts not with some big explosion, but with a quiet, devastating diagnosis.
All right, so first up, a good man breaks bad. Before he built an empire, before he had that infamous name, he was just a guy facing a crisis he could never, ever have seen coming.
So let's meet our guy, Walter White. He's a brilliant chemist, but he's stuck teaching high school. He's completely overqualified, seriously underpaid, and just living a life of quiet frustration. He's a family man, a teacher, pretty unremarkable, or so it seems.
And then, bam, life just hits him with a bombshell that changes absolutely everything. He's got a short time to live, and he is terrified by one single thought, leaving his family with nothing. This diagnosis, it's the spark that's about to light a massive fuse.
His first reason for doing all this, it almost sounds noble, doesn't it? In a really twisted way. He decides to apply his chemistry genius to the criminal world, and he partners up with a former student, the lovable screw-up Jesse Pinkman. The plan seems simple enough: cook meth, make a ton of money, and get out. But, as you can probably guess, it is never that simple.
Okay, let's get into the next phase, where that simple plan just spirals into something way, way more dangerous. This is the part of the story where Walter White starts to fade away, and his criminal alter ego, Heisenberg, really begins to take the wheel.
You see, as their meth gets a reputation for being the purest stuff out there, Walt and Jesse get pulled deeper and deeper into the criminal underworld. Every step they take just brings more risk. Soon, they're not just breaking the law, they're dealing with violent cartels, and the consequences of what they're doing get bloody and absolutely devastating.
And this right here is the central battle of the whole series. It's a war going on inside one man. Is he Walter White, the desperate father trying to provide? Or is he Heisenberg, the ruthless drug kingpin? For a long, long time, he tries to be both, but you just know that eventually one side is going to have to win. So just as Walt is starting to get a handle on his new identity, the game completely levels up. Gus Fring, a brilliant and, frankly, terrifying drug lord, steps onto the scene. He brings a level of professionalism and pure ruthlessness that Walt has never, ever seen before. And this, of course, leads us to the absolute core conflict of the show. It becomes this high-stakes chess match between two criminal masterminds, a silent war that's fought with whispers, threats, and cold, calculated violence. At first, their relationship is just a business deal, an alliance. But you've got Walt's massive pride and Gus's need for absolute control, which means they were always going to be enemies. The suspicion just keeps building and building until it just explodes into open war, and it all leads to one of the most incredible showdowns in TV history. And after that final explosive move against Gus, Walt just says these two words: "This is the moment." This is when his transformation feels totally complete. It's not about securing his family's future anymore. Nope. It's about pride. It's about ego. It's about winning. The desperation is totally gone, and all that's left is domination. So with Gus out of the picture, Walt is at the very top. He's built his empire. But like any empire built on violence and lies, it was always going to come crashing down. This is the final act. Think about it. Over 62 episodes, we watched this man's entire soul just corrode. Every single hour is another step deeper into the darkness. It's this huge, complex story of moral decay. And now, that story is speeding toward its unavoidable, violent end. So what was the price of his empire? The short answer? Everything. His family is just shattered by his lies. So many people are dead because of what he did. Every relationship he ever had is poisoned. His legacy isn't about being a provider. It's just a legacy of ruin and sorrow.
So how does it all wrap up? After the whole empire collapses, what's even left? Who survives the fallout? And what does any of it really mean?
In the middle of all this tragedy, there is one little glimmer of hope. Jesse Pinkman, Walt's tormented partner, who was really like a surrogate son to him, he finally gets away.
The movie El Camino tells that story. It's his brutal, desperate run for a new life, finally free from the world that almost completely destroyed him. And this brings us to the final haunting question of the whole show. Walt always said he did it for his family. But in his last moments, he admits the truth. He says, "I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it." So what was really motivating him? Was it love or was it just pride? That's the question that makes Breaking Bad an absolute masterpiece, and it leaves you wondering long after the screen goes black.